In the beginning, there was Sky World, which was up above, and Water World down below. Within Sky World, there was a great tree that grew with roots that ran north, south, east, and west. And upon that tree grew every good thing. Down below in Water World, the animals lived within the water, and the birds lived above the water. One day in Sky World, the great tree toppled over and created a giant hole. The chief's wife, who was with child, was full of curiosity and wanted to see through that hole. As her feet got near the edge, she reached up to grab a limb, but she lost her footing and fell down through the hole. The water birds flew up to see what was falling through the hole in Sky World. They helped her, one under each arm with great wings, bringing her down to safety. The animals in Water World were wondering how they could help, and they had heard that down below the water there was mud, and perhaps the mud could soften the landing. One by one, they went down to find this mud. It was a very difficult challenge, but finally they came up with a claw full of mud. As they wondered what to do with the mud in their claw, the old turtle called out, "Here, put it on me." And all the animals put the mud on the turtle's back. As the birds lowered her down to the back of that turtle shell, her feet began to shuffle in that mud, and with her hands she spread out the seeds that she had grabbed as she was falling from that giant tree. And as she shuffled her feet in that mud, those seeds were planted and began to grow, and they grew and they grew until they became that we are standing on this very day, Mother Earth.
What you all just seen and heard is known as Escañe Gainose, or New Women Shuffle Dance. And it goes all the way back to our creation story. When Sky Woman fell from Sky World and landed on the back of the great snapping turtle, she did a shuffling dance with her feet, and she made all of creation. And that's just one of our many social dances that we will be demonstrating this evening. And these social dances have been passed down through the generations and are still done in our Haganas hefties, or longhouses, to this day. And if you look closely at what we are wearing what is known as our Haganas hefty clothes, or our longhouse clothes. We depict a time after European contact when we would have traded for the calicos, trade cloths, and beads. And we removed the skins of the animals, and we adorned ourselves with these things. And it is commonly known in English today as regalia. And now we're moving on to the old moccasin dance. And the old moccasin dance was done during the apple harvest. And at the end of the harvest, this dance was done. And the village elders picked the best dancer among the men and the women to receive a new pair of moccasins. Old moccasin dance, une waka hef. And now we're moving on to the bear dance, coming to us from the great Catawba Nation in what is presently known as South Carolina. But as Native American people, our ancestors knew that the bear was the strongest and wisest of all the animals in the forest. And we will watch the way the bears would interact with each other. And this dance mimics those interactions. Bear dance, Gunny-O. And now we're moving on to the Wasaze, or Old Style War Dance. When different tribes and different peoples came in contact with our ancestors, we would do this dance, telling them a story of battle. And in doing so, they knew we could be a great ally or a terrible enemy. And now we're moving on to men and women's Eastern Woodland. And Woodland is a fairly new style of dance to that powwow circle or powwow arena. And if none of you have ever been to a powwow, I would encourage you to do so. But Woodland is done here in the southeast, all the way up the coast, reaching to the Great Lakes region. And it is our contribution as Woodland natives to that powwow circle or powwow way of life. Men and women's Eastern Woodland. Gunyo! And now we're moving on to the smoke dance, starting with the men. And the men's smoke dance is a sped up variation of the wasaze, or old style war dance that you just seen. And it is known that the smoke dance is the fastest dance in all of Indian country. And over time, our women also picked up and adapted the smoke dance. And it is said, and I truly believe, that our women dance even harder and faster than the men. But I'll let y'all be the judge of that. Ladies and gentlemen, they make it look so easy. We have two championship smoke dancers here tonight, Mr. Ethan Oxendine, Snipe Clan, and Miss Chloe Green, Beaver Clan, Smoke Dance. Gunyo, gunyo! But as Native American people, the greatest gifts we can give anyone is through our songs, our stories, and our dances. Just to impart with you some of that wagwasunekwa, or some of that good medicine. And medicine being anything that makes you well, whether that be physical, spiritual, or emotional. And now the final style of dance that we will be demonstrating this evening will be the stick dance, coming to us from the Lenni Lenape, or Delaware peoples. There come upon a time in their history when they were losing this dance due to colonial encroachment. So they came to the Haganas Heske elders, to those Longhouse elders, and they asked them to hold on to this dance until a time that they were able to pick it back up again. And this dance is just one example of how as indigenous people we have lost so much, but we have always had the ability and the sovereignty to uplift our minds through our songs, dances, and languages. And now as that brings us to the end of our presentation, we would all like to give you a big nyaweh or big thank you for coming to the Lost Colony this evening and spending your evening with us. But if you know nothing else before you leave, I want you to leave knowing this. We are Native American indigenous people, and we are still here.
Join with us to thank these members of the Lost Colony Company, representing the Coharie, Lumbee, Tuscarora, Chickahominy, Catawba, Palawas Saponi, Isleta del Pueblo, Akimel A'afin, Gila River Indian Community, and the Cheyenne River Lakota tribes for this remarkable presentation. The Lost Colony, presented by PNC Bank, will begin in just 10 minutes.